Hey friends, Mario Cavallo here. I promised you that I was launching my course entitled How to Identify and Protect Yourself from Manipulation and Deception. And this is part 2 of that course, and we are going to dig right in. Before we do, quickly, let me apologize. I have a problem with the bandwidth of Wi-Fi at my home office. I can't control when it's good and when it's bad. I did an update on COVID yesterday. The resolution was shit, so I just deleted the whole thing. What I'm going to do from now on is I'm pre-recording this video, and then which is in HD, obviously, and then afterwards, with no editing, because I don't want to spend the time on editing and all that fancy stuff. We're going straight to knowledge and information, and all of you one-on-one, we're having our talk together. That's it. Then I'll just upload this video directly to YouTube. So we're going to go right into part 2 here, how to identify and protect yourself from manipulation and deception. So you'll notice that my objective here is a protection from a negative. Now, these very same techniques and tools that are used are your classic and famous and well-known techniques and tools in, I'm going to say, as persuasion skills, sales and persuasion skills. For example, priming people to get them in the right frame of mind before you subject them to something, and then they're 10 times more likely to react in the way you want them to react. Things like that. I'm going to start here, and again, let me clarify what we're doing here. Our method, my methodology in approaching you. This is strictly me talking, sharing with you, and I'm looking forward to it. And in a very personal way, just like this, I'm not going to go the fancy route with slides and everything else, because when I do one-on-one coaching with people, it's more that style. And we're making notes, we're writing things down, we're talking about things very directly to one another and very deeply, all right? So what you need, okay, because I'm not going to open up the top of your head and spoon feed you with a PPT. I hate doing that, okay? This is for you to really pay attention. You need a notebook and a pen. And when I say to you, write this down, write it down, because it's the key points, the key models, okay? Like, for example, one of the classic public PR models and public advertising industry models that they use to screw with your head constantly is they generalize, they delete, and they distort. Okay, that's those 3, and then we're going to discuss those 3. What are those 3, and how and when do they do it? Right. So write those 3 down. Okay, not now. I'm just giving you that as an example. What I want to do right now is go through a kind of questionnaire for you to help you to understand what I'm talking about when I talk about when people are being manipulated, deceived, lied to, even brainwashed. And this is the thing, it's in daily and unsuspecting situations, okay? And specifically what's on my mind is we're all out in social media and mainstream media now, and as Matt Taibbi recently said, he's doing another one of his talks, and he just put out, Matt Taibbi, the famous journalist, originally with Rolling Stone, who uncovered the Goldman Sachs scandal related to the financial crisis, and a fantastic journalist, and just did another piece because he's going to be speaking at an upcoming event, and the title is, you cannot trust the mainstream media. End of discussion. Okay, they are a disaster. Okay, so this is what I'm telling you. We're looking at the news in the mainstream media. We're also looking at voices. Okay. They're known as influencers. We're looking at influencers in social media, and they're in all kinds of areas: financial analysis, culture, history, news, all the main YouTube channels and other channels and Twitter people who have accounts with 100,000, 1 million or more followers. These people are very influential, and about some of the things they talk about, they're full of crap. Okay, and they're lying, they're deceiving, they're manipulating. The part that's so frustrating is you can't separate the wheat from the chaff, because on some subjects, they're good. On some subjects, they're right on. But then on other subjects, usually subjects like China, okay, they're so far off, it's horrifying. I try to write to them and tell them, and they don't want to listen. They don't care because they're so deeply stuck in their own brainwash narrative, because they themselves have been manipulated and deceived. So whether or not these people are the actual source of the manipulation or the deception, or brainwashed victims of it and then just repeating it, I don't know. Depends on the situation, depends on who the person is. It's like when you've been spouting the fact that the sky is green for 6 years, and then finally someone pricks you out of your bubble, puts their finger under your chin, and you look up in the sky, and they look at you and they say, "You see that? That's blue." Okay, and now here's a color palette from the Sherwin-Williams Paint Company, a paint catalog, and this is their paint catalog, and here's the spectrum, RGB, red, green, blue, and here's the whole spectrum of colors. You see, they say this is catalogs, and here's all their shades of blue. So these are blue. You with me? Yeah. And then you look up at the sky and you see how these are all the same shades of blue. So now you know blue is blue. And then you continue on telling everyone that the sky is green. For example, you've been told it's impossible that there is a genocide of Uyghurs in Xinjiang, as an example. This is incredible manipulation and deception, okay? That they would use the word genocide as an example, because this is a horrifying word that causes outrage in a person, okay? And then when that got debunked, they moved it to, because of course it's not happening. Nobody's ever shown it. I mean, where's the dead bodies? Where's the refugee crisis? I mean, none of that stuff, which always happens if there is a genocide, like there is in Yemen, okay? Like there was with Jews. I mean, it's a disaster when it's a real genocide. So when someone co-opts an outrage-inducing word like genocide, they're manipulating you. Then when that got debunked, okay, clearly, because it's preposterous, and the Chinese government was like, what are you people talking about? The Uyghurs, there's 12 million Uyghurs. There was only 9 million Uyghurs 5 years ago. Now there's 12 million. That's birth increase. But there's more population now than there was 5-10 years ago. How the hell is that genocide? Oh, we have to change our story. So then they call it cultural genocide. Well, look, folks, cultural genocide happened in the United States in Manhattan. Little Italy isn't what it used to be. And Chinatown isn't what it used to be. I know that because I was 12 years old in 1972, and every weekend my father would take us down to Little Italy in Chinatown in Manhattan. We lived in Yonkers, 20 minutes, half an hour north. Okay, that was it, man. The San Gennaro feast in Little Italy every year back then. That was from the 50s, 60s, 70s. That was Chinatown. That was Little Italy in Manhattan. I used to go down there and experience that. It's not the same anymore. Not even close. It's been culturally genocided. Blame the government. You see, it's ridiculous, okay? So you're getting manipulated in all kinds of ways. I picked this one particular subject, but there's 100, okay? My favorite is the things the politicians say and the things that the Christian preachers say while they're wearing gold rings, and somehow you're donating to them. I don't understand it, okay? So all these things we're going to talk about. So here's some questions I want you to ask yourself. What's going on? Okay. One more time. Also, to remind you, I was originally asked by Vistage Chair Peter Harris to do this program for Vistage, which is a CEO mentoring and education organization, very well known and respected all over the world. And I did this program for them about 10 years ago, in fact, while we were living in Shanghai. Okay. Back then, before I became more involved in media and China relations and geopolitical topics, for 20 years, I was a corporate trainer and coach for many, many years. Okay, fine, great. You can go to LinkedIn and you can see my background doing all of that. Okay, great. So do you know when you are even being manipulated, deceived, lied to, even brainwashed, even in daily unsuspecting situations? The answer is you don't. Okay, for many people, unless you know all this stuff, unless you've developed this level of self-awareness to where you know and you catch it and you wake up, and that's my goal for you here. Okay, deceptive, self-serving greed, masquerading as charitable goodness and sacrifice. Okay, I have a problem. You have a problem. We have a problem. The world has a problem. Help solve that problem. That's an interesting pattern of repetition, which is the way you get manipulated, at the end of which you go, okay, 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 okay. Except the guy saying, I have a problem, is a millionaire, and you're giving him $10. Are you out of your mind? He's running around in a private jet. Okay. Lies mixed with truth, which distorts and biases and clouds the real issues. And this is one of the worst. And this is a disaster. Lies mixed with truth. Okay, man, this is you because they force you to unpack it, and it takes 10 times more effort to unpack a negative that's a lie, and that's bullshit, than it does to create it in the first place. So that's why the burden is on us to be able to unpack it. Okay, China is the worst, by far, worst polluter on the earth. True statement. True statement. Okay. And probably one of the most horrifyingly misleading statements in the entire world. Okay. It doesn't even begin to tell the real story. Okay. And I'll talk about that one. I don't want to go into what the answer is on that. Okay, because yes, China is the largest polluter in the world. It's absolutely true. But then you got to go, okay, well, wait a minute. What's the context here? Why is China the largest polluter in the world? And what is that relative to everybody else? In fact, relative to the United States, China puts out half the pollution that the United States puts out per person. So American people waste and pollute the world double worse, double bad as Chinese people do. Okay, so okay, wow, you're kidding me. No, I'm not kidding you. All right, and also, relative to other things that matter, say, because we want everything to be green and alternative energy and all of that. You know, China's using a lot of coal. Well, yeah, China has 1.4 billion people. You only have 200 million. Of course, they could put out more pollution. So it's not that China's the big bad wolf. Okay, and then. What is the total installed capacity of alternate energy in China? Green energy, solar, wind, and nuclear. There's like 60 new nuclear reactors coming online in China. Okay, so are they meaning the government of China, has undertaken the most massive amount of investment. I can Google the specific amount, but it's like four times more investment than any other country, or than the next countries combined. Now, I can be specific and Google that and tell you, and I will. That's fine. We'll do that together later. For now, I'm saying to you clearly, oh, wait a minute. China's the worst polluter in the world. They're horrifying monsters. No. Okay, nobody's doing more to reduce pollution than China. Okay, nobody's invested more. Nobody has more installed capacity, a wind, solar, and nuclear alternative and green energy capacity than China. And I can go on and on and on and on and on, okay, which tells you that China's the least of your problems when it comes to pollution, okay? They don't need to be in communications with the United States on climate change. China's already doing 10 times more than everybody else. That's the truth. Oh, so it's not just that China's the worst polluter in the world. So by telling you one thing, which is lies mixed with truth, actually in this case it's deletion. I've told you one thing, but I've deleted telling you all the other things. So this is, remember I said earlier, the three things that are a particular model of deception is to generalize, to delete, and to distort. In this case, it's deletion, right? I've told you one thing, okay? And that distorts and biases and clouds the real issues. Okay, next, sneaky misdirection. This is a problem. You don't know when you're being misdirected. This is tough stuff. There's very specific ways that that's done. What exactly is brainwashing then, and when is it happening to me? This is the idea, to take everything that I'm talking about and bring it from where you don't know it's happening, it's implicit, and to bring it up and out so that it's explicit. I'm explicitly explaining implicit things that you don't even know are happening, and that's how brainwashing and manipulation and deception happens. And I'm not talking about straight up lying, which, by the way, is a technique, okay? But lying is lying. It's a very straight up, I'm talking about a whole set of communication tools, and I'm going to tell you quickly here what they are. When does persuasion and influence cross the line to ugly and bad? Where's the ethical line? Where's the trust line? Now, this brings up a very good point. You go into a car dealership, and a master car salesman can get you to buy that car, or move you in the direction of buying that car. They don't know how to, they know how to read you. They know how to move you along. They know how to make you feel comfortable and like them and develop rapport, which is one of the magic tools to develop modeling. They model you to develop rapport, because if you're like me and I'm like you, hey, I like you. Oh, wow, he's just like me. I like this guy. He's just like me. Well, of course he's just like you. He's copying you. He's watching you and copying you, and he's actually copying the words that you use and your body language to match you. And that makes you feel like he's just like you. And you're being manipulated to hell. Hang on a minute. Is this bad? Because I'm using the car salesman as an example. You walk into a car dealership, you see a beautiful car. Listen, you may think that that car is a fantastic car, and it's, I'm just going to say it's a BMW, and your choice is a BMW. You know, you're looking at BMWs, Mercedes, Lexus, and Audi. And you want to pick one, and you look at that BMW, and of all the ones you've looked at, you're already, you're thinking this is the value for me. And for whatever reasons, you have that perception. And this happens to be one of the most sincere, terrific salesmen in the world. Okay? He really believes in his product. He loves selling his product to people. He knows he's selling them a fantastic product for the money with a great track record. He's got nothing to apologize for having the greatest possible sales and persuasion skills that he could possibly have to convince you, as long as he's not being an asshole, to buy that car. Okay? That's terrific, because there's nothing wrong with buying that car. He's not lying to you. He's not cheating you. Okay? You're buying a quality known thing. So when does it cross the line to ugly and bad? And that, of course, is when I'm selling you snake oil, when I'm selling you garbage, and I'm telling you it's fantastic. SBF, Sam Bankman-Friedman, and FTX is a perfect example. I watched a video the other day with Graham Stefan. He said he had problems with his involvement with FTX, and he went to them and they said, there's no problem. We have $1 billion in the bank. You have nothing to worry about. And they were just lying. They were full of baloney. So they were selling garbage. And they knew it was garbage. They committed fraud. They knew they were committing fraud, and they're lying to you. So that's when the line is crossed to ugly and bad. Okay, and then where's the ethical line? Well, the ethical line is right there. Where's the trust line? The trust line is right there. It's where people are willing to just lie to you to your face. Okay. Next, learning to trust when your little red flag pops up. See, that's the thing. I've met a lot of people, and I meet them at first, and the vibe is normal to good, maybe even very good. And then all of a sudden, something happens, and I go, ding. Oh, no. Bad vibe. Something's not right. And every time, I swear to you, every time that's ever happened to me, the situation I could never turn it around. You can't turn it around. Once it goes sour, once that little red flag pops up, it's because all my life, I've had really strong instincts. Okay? I can read people naturally very, very well. Plus, I learned the skills of it, and I go, oh, I've always had good instincts. I'm a very kinesthetic person. I'm like, no, something's not right here, and I know it. And from that moment forward, it's toast. And you can never turn it around. Hopefully, you don't let yourself continue to get deceived. You go down the line, and I knew it, right? So when that little red flag pops up, it's right most of the time. By learning and going through this course with me, your little red flag is going to pop up more. You're going to become much more aware of when that little red flag needs to pop up. Okay. So some of the list of the kind of techniques that we're going to go through. I mentioned one model. It's called generalization, deletion, and distortion. These are the three classic things that I don't want to say this in too negative a way, because again, intent determines whether it's negative, right? As I use the car example, okay? So when advertising agencies write messaging, when marketing and PR departments for major corporations write messaging, okay, they know how to write that messaging. And I do this, I've done this, okay? I teach people how to do this. These are the methods, all right? So I'm referring in this course to when they're used for bad purposes. But again, they're used in the world for good purposes. But you're overwhelmed by advertising. You're overwhelmed by advertising. The advertising, media, and PR industry, they know this model like the back of their hand. I mean, they're all experts in this. And every major communicator and influencer out there knows all this stuff. And if you don't, they're jerking you around if it's a negative situation. Generalization, deletion, and distortion. Okay? Framing, reframing. Okay? There's something in I'm referencing some things we learn in neuro-linguistic programming called reframing. Okay? And hypnotic and post-hypnotic language patterns. Hypnotic and post-hypnotic language patterns. Okay? So, for example, by the way, I forgot. I want to mention one really important thing to you. Later on tonight, when you're sitting down, you're having your dinner with your family. After dinner, you're wrapping up, cleaning up, you're sitting down, you're starting to relax. You'll remember some of these things that I said to you. I'd very much like you to say, you know what, it's really a good idea. Mario would like you to make me to make a donation. It's very reasonable. I can do that through his PayPal me for $20. That's what I recommend. You don't have to. If you want to watch this whole course for free, you can. If you want to pay more, you can. But after dinner, you're settling down and everything's cool. You think about it, and you all of a sudden you go, wait a minute, I really enjoyed that this afternoon with Mario. Yeah, I'm going to give him the $20. Now, I want to be very clear about what I just did to you, okay? Because I did just intentionally do this. I implicitly just did something to you, which was real and was sincere, but I am now going to explicitly unpack what I just did. I just did a post-hypnotic language pattern. Okay, I just hypnotized you and created a situation where I pointed you to a specific moment in the future. And when you hit that moment in the future, the odds are your subconscious mind would trigger you to do exactly what I just said. And what is it that I want you to do? I would like you to send me $20. Okay, so I'm saying this to you implicitly, and I'm explicitly explaining what I just implicitly did in persuading you. Now we got to go back 2 more steps and unpack this, okay? I'm perfectly happy to say to you, with all my heart and sincerely, that I'm putting up this course online, and if you're not in a position to make any donation, or you don't feel like making a donation, and you just want to just say, hey, Mario, thanks for the course in the comments, and that's all, you're my friend. And that's great, and that's good. And at the same time, I'm saying I put a lot of time into this, and I would appreciate it. $20 sounds good and reasonable to me. People who do corporate training get $500 to $1,000 an hour teaching this kind of stuff. Some people know it's worth a lot more in what it costs. For example, if you go to a PR agency for this kind of training, they're going to charge you $3,000 for the whole day. And I've done that. Okay, so yes, it's worth a lot. So if you want to pay more, go ahead and pay more. And I sincerely am giving you value, and have sleep well knowing sharing all of this with you is valuable knowledge, and I'm giving you this value. So I'm perfectly happy to suggest that someone might want to offer me some money in return. Okay. All right. So I'm like the BMW salesman. I've got no conscientious issues with what I would suggest you to do in regard to that. But I want you to understand the framing, and what I did earlier was called a post-hypnotic language pattern. It's a hypnotic language pattern, and it follows a very specific pattern. Okay? Get your notebook and write this down. This is ending up being the second pattern that I am pointing out to you. All right? It's called a post-hypnotic language pattern, and it starts with the words, by the way, later on, or just later on. I've now begun making the suggestion to you. Are you with me? Oh, by the way, I just remembered. Later on, and now I'm going to point to when later on. And I'm going to imagine a later on that fits well for the majority of human beings on planet Earth. And the times that fit the majority of human beings are on planet Earth are later on. Pick the time of the event when you want to trigger their memory. You pick that time. Later on, when you get up in the morning and you're still kind of sleepy and getting around the house and you're starting to wake up and you go in the kitchen and you just finally you make that coffee and you sip that first cup of coffee and you start waking up and you're going to think about and this is step 3. So in the morning when you have that coffee in the kitchen when you're preparing breakfast, that's the time. Or what did I say? The dinner. At the end of the day, when you get home and you sit down and you have your dinner, and after dinner you start winding down, the odds are very high this is going to apply to the majority of people that you are talking to. So I've chosen my time events, all right? I've chosen my time events to trigger when I would like your memory to trigger what you experienced earlier in the day. The post-hypnotic suggestion, okay? Banks do it, by the way. As another example, this is a deep sales technique that you don't have a clue that this is happening to you, and it is manipulative. It's not deceptive if there's no bad intent, okay? So we go to the event time. So we have, hey, by the way, later on, when tomorrow you get up, that cup of coffee, or tonight you have that dinner, and after dinner and you start winding down. So now we've got step 2, okay? When that happens, and then you're going to go, wow, I remember, that was a good course. You might want to mention it to your wife or your husband or your friend. You're having a conversation, and it's going to pop back in your head that course, that thing you were listening to with Mario earlier. Now I've told you what it is that I want you to remember, the trigger of the specific thing. And assuming it's true that you were satisfied and enjoyed it and it was great, you're also going to remember what? The thing that I asked you to do, okay? Which was to go ahead and make that $20 donation to whatever. In this case, I have paypal.me. It's down in the description, and that's what it is. You see, the third thing is that I want you to remember my event, your event with me earlier. And then the fourth thing is, of course, the action that I want you to take, the call to action. So 4 steps, post-hypnotic suggestion. Folks, I just shared it. To me, I just shared $1 million idea thing with you. Idea, tool, technique, thought. Okay? Next one, another one is called pacing and leading, and it's I don't want to say that it's similar, but it's pacing and leading. You form your sentences with as, ... and, ... and, ... and so. Okay, we're going to talk about that one later. That's called pacing and leading. There's so much more for me to share with you. I want to hold this video to 30 minutes, and we're at 28 minutes right now. So let me go through a couple more things with you, and then we're going to wrap up part 2. There's a mastery foundation to communications, and the world's greatest truths and principles, of life are also the simplest. And in that simplicity, we find their power in the simplicity of the fundamentals of life. Okay? And in terms of communication skills, many years ago, for my clients, for trainings, for workshops, I boiled that communication simplicity down to the following. And this was for people who are in front of other people. So this is presentation skills, persuasion skills. Okay? And what you must do when you are in any situation, I don't care if you're sitting around in a business meeting and you've been called on to speak, it's your turn. Or if you're the one doing the main presentation up on stage in front of 1,000 people, okay? Or if you're online on your camera, whatever it is you're doing, whoever your audience is, at that moment, the simplicity is this. You need to look and sound great. That's the goal, okay? Think about that for a second. You need to look great and you need to sound great. And if you do that, Everything else is done. Everything else falls into place. Now, looking great means your posture, your body language, your face, your eyes, how you're using your body, and the clothes you're wearing, appropriate for the circumstance, okay? All these things are part of your looking great. And then how you sound when you're delivering your message, which is your voice, the tone of it, the speed of it, the pace of it, the rhythm of it, the details in every way, like an actor, okay? The details in every way so that when you deliver whatever the heck it is you're saying to other human beings, that they look at you and go, yeah, sounds good. Yeah, this person looks and sounds great. This person is an excellent communicator. This person gives me a good impression. You look and sound great. And how do you do that? You master, as I've begun saying to you, 3 things. Write these down, okay? What is your mastery foundation? The simplicity, okay? Write it down. Folks, I love you. I want you to look and sound great. Write it down. You need to look and sound great. There's 3 things that enable you to look and sound great. There's 3 ingredients. You got to master your appearance. Write it down. Master your appearance. 2, master the language, the specific language that you are using. You got to learn to script your speeches. You got to learn to script your messaging, okay? And number 3 has to do with here you are now with your appearance and your script, your language, okay? And now you have to master your voice, how you speak, how you sound, the rhythm you use, okay? Up and down, loud, soft, slow, fast, tight and sharp, long and slow. Everything that you will do to adjust your own voice, which all requires total self-awareness, okay? Master your appearance, master the language, master your voice. All 3 of those together, and then out comes the delivery. And absolutely, if you've worked on these things, you look and sound great. You absolutely look and sound great, okay? And that's the goal, all right? Now, last thing. The even more philosophical and even spiritual, wide, broad foundation to what I'm talking about is your mastery of what I call awareness, control, and design. This is another model of 3. Write it down. Turn the page, write it down. Awareness, control, design, or awareness, control, design. Everything I've just described to you is obviously a massive increase in your awareness of what's going on. Awareness of your own appearance, your own voice, your own delivery, your own use of language, awareness of how other people all around you are communicating. Your awareness levels are going to go through the roof. I think this is priceless, what I'm sharing with you. I hope it makes your life better in every amazing way, in all your relationships and everything, far beyond identifying and protecting yourself and your family and your loved ones from being manipulated and deceived, okay? And so what is it? Awareness, control, design. Let me ask you a question. Can you control what you're not aware of? Can you control what you're not aware of? I mean, I'm thinking about it. Can you control what you're not aware of? And you're standing up in front of people and you're giving a speech and you're talking to them. Well, I want to share with you about this and that. I feel kind of nervous and then everyone stops you and says, "Hey, Mario, did you know while you're talking just now that you're pulling on and scratching your ear and the side of your neck there?" I was? Wow. I didn't even know. I mean, I know I was nervous, but I didn't realize I was pulling my ear. So this is what happened to me when I was 19 years old in Toastmasters. I knew I wanted to be a professional speaker. I was only 19 years old. And a teacher. I mean, that's my profile in a lot of ways. And I went into a Toastmasters group. And right away at the icebreaker meeting, I said, "No, I'm happy to give my icebreaker speech and introduce myself. I'll prepare it, and I can do that." And I joined the club, and they were like, "Okay, give your icebreaker speech." So I gave it the day I was a guest, right? And I gave the speech, and and they were like, "You did really, really well. You're serious about what you want to do. You're obviously you can learn a lot, and you're going to be fine." You should stop walking. The first thing is you got to stop walking back and forth across the front of the room while you're talking. And I went, what? What are you talking about? And they're like, you don't know. I'm like, no, I don't know at all. I was walking, I was in my nervousness, even though I was like delivering it all well, introducing myself to them. My nervousness was whatever it was at 19 years old and doing this for the very first time. And I was pacing back and forth and getting my nervousness out. I had no idea I was doing it. So you see what I mean about awareness, control, and design. So let me ask you a question. If you're unaware that you're pulling on your ear and you're nervous and you're doing this, and when you're lying, you're looking to the left. When you're feeling your emotions, you're looking down. Your thoughts are looking down, okay? Did you know that? When you're feeling your emotions, your eyes go down, okay? When you're thinking of visual things, your eyes go up. Do you have awareness of, do you even know any of this? All of this happens unconsciously. Well, people who manipulate and deceive you, you become totally aware of all of these things, and then you learn to control them so that even though you are lying, and normally when you're lying and making shit up in your brain, you're making things up in your brain will go up and to the left, okay? But people who have high awareness, okay, they know that. And they control their eyes, and their eyes, they don't look up and to the left. So they look straight right ahead and look at you and lie out their asses, and they're making shit up, okay? And they're not looking up and to the left. So you don't have a clue. You know, reading them doesn't help because they're psychotic. They're lying to you. They're manipulative. They're masters of communication because they got high levels of awareness, okay? So can you control what you're not aware of? Can you control it? If you weren't aware that you were pulling on your ear, or if you weren't aware that you were walking back and forth, could you even control it? No. Awareness, control, design. Once you have control of what you know you're doing, once you have control of what you know you're doing, I stand up in front of a room and I see and I know what I am doing and what I'm not doing. I see, I'm always tending to look to the right side of the audience. Ah, okay, good. Anything you're not aware of, you can't control. And if you can't control it, we can't go to the next step of design, which is design. What are we designing? We're designing making you look and sound great. That's what we're designing in front of people. Okay, so this is mastery of your communications for whatever reason. All right, and it's all part of this whole package, this whole program. It all falls under communication skills. That's it, folks. That's it for part 2 today. Thank you for joining me. Hope you enjoyed it. I'm going to get this posted up sometime here in the next 24 hours. Thanks a lot. We'll catch you later.